everybody, my name is Cogline3639, welcome back to another video. Today in this one I'll be doing another card analysis video, and in this one I'll be covering why triple tactic thrust is worth $70 and if it's actually worth buying. Yeah, it's a new card that came out in Photon Hypernova that got a lot of hype around it, and in this video I'll be covering the effect of it, advantages and disadvantages, and then my thoughts on the card itself. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Alrighty, before we can get into the advantages and disadvantages, we must know the effect of triple tactics thrust. So it's a normal spell trap that reads as follows. If your opponent has activated a monster effect during this turn, you can set one normal spell trap directly from your deck except for triple tactics thrust. Or if your opponent controls a monster, you can add it to your hand instead. That set card cannot be activated this turn. You can only activate one triple tactic thrust once per turn. So yeah, that is the effect. Now let's get into the advantages of triple tactics thrust. Now let's get into the advantages of triple tactics thrust. So one of them is it doesn't matter when the monster effect has activated. As long as it's been activated this turn, triple tactics thrust can activate. So it can activate in the standby phase, something like Shangri-La effect. You can get thrust to start searching your spell traps and stuff. In the battle phase it works, in the draw phase it works. Again, just does not matter. As long as they have activated a monster effect during the turn, you can activate triple tactics thrust, which is nice because we're used to something like triple tactic talents where it has to be only in the main phase, but this just doesn't matter. 2, it can search any normal spell trap, including a board breaker, something like Dark Hole, Regeki, Dark Ruler No More, Evenly Match even comes in there. This card can search it. So basically, for all those cards I just mentioned, instead of playing just 3 copies of it with triple tactics thrust, you're actually playing 6 copies just because you're able to search whatever you want. It's also pretty good for that reason because you might want to be in one of those situations where you don't want a Dark Hole, you want something like Dark Ruler No More. Thrust can make sure you can get to that card. Very, very good for that reason. And number 3, it is just really good going second. Again, since you can search basically any board breaker in the game, as long as your monster has activated effect, you can search triple tactics talents, which is so insane going second. Anyways, thrust just makes it where you're getting 6 copies of the card as well. Very, very good as a going second card, just making sure you're getting into the cards that can make sure your opponent, or you can break your opponent's board, which is very, very good. So those are the advantages of triple tactics thrust. Now let's get into the disadvantages. Now on to the disadvantages of triple tactics thrust. So 1, it can only search a normal spell trap. Now that's very good for a lot of cases, but there are some cases where you want to search a quick play spell. Something like the book cards, for example, Book of Moon, Book of Eclipse, Book of Lunar Eclipse. They're all quick play spells. They cannot be searched through triple tactics thrust, so you lose one of your most important board breakers, so they're very, very good in this format. Something like Econ also comes up to mind as well. Something like field spells and continuous spells also can't be searched through this, but it's more the quick play spells that really does come up when you think of this card. 2, if your opponent doesn't control a monster, you can only set the spell trap, and that spell trap cannot be activated. Now this doesn't really matter if you're going second because they're most likely going to have that monster, but going first it's not really doing anything, and that's why the third one is that I say it isn't really good going first, just because of the hand traps that are being played right now, like Ash Blossom and Effect Veiler. That doesn't do anything to thrust because they don't have a body on the field. It doesn't really get you anything. You can't get like a triple tactic talents because again, you would have to set that card and it can't be activated that turn, which is very, very unfortunate. And the only card that really comes up is something like Nibiru the Primal Being, because that does actually summon and actually get you a monster, but people would rather nib you because that nib will give them more of an advantage than what thrust can give you, even if it could search something like a talent to look at hand and stuff like that. That Nibiru is just so impactful, it's worth playing into thrust for. Now, you would think, okay, maybe the Bestials, but the Bestials are no longer in a format, so that's the unfortunate part. Maybe if we're still in the Tier 0 Tier Madness with the Bestials and stuff like that, man, yeah, maybe thrust would be insane because then that would just punish you for getting a bestial thrust into talents and stuff like that. But it's not really that good. Now, there are some things you can take advantage of with the, you can only set a card. You can set something like a D barrier from like side deck or something like that, or main deck as well to punish your opponent still. Just go set D barrier, and D barrier is really good this format, so have to give credits to that. But those are the disadvantages. Now let's get into my opinion on triple tactics thrust. So is triple tactics thrust worth it? At the current price, I would say probably not. I think there's just not that many things going for it. Like, yes, when you first read its effect, you're like, damn, that's a really good card that I want in my deck. But then the more you think about it and where the format is right now, something like board breakers being more prevalent in the game, triple tactics thrust going first doesn't really do anything unless you're main decking like D barrier and stuff, which you don't really want to be doing if you're playing it in a combo deck, because you only want to be playing this in some sort of combo deck, something like Castria or Branded comes to mind, because a trap deck definitely does not want to play this. They would just rather play another trap card. So you're most likely in a combo deck siding D barrier. So going game one blind, thrusting going first doesn't really do anything. Now going second, it does do a lot, but that's just, I don't know. I feel like you can just play more board breakers at that point instead of wasting, $210, because you would need to pick up 3 of this if you do want to play this. Instead of wasting $210, just play another hand trap or just play another board breaker in this spot, and it basically does the same thing, in my opinion. Again, this is all my opinion. Maybe you do think thrusting is worth it. I would disagree with you, but the card is very good in and of itself. There also is another thing where people are playing around this card a lot. Again, if you're going first and your opponent's going second, if they just don't activate a hand trap, then all of a sudden thrust is just garbage in your hand. Again, I think it's only really a going second card, where if it's only a going second card, you would rather just side deck the card. At that point, we did see some of that in the YCS Las Vegas. Again, I think you can still top events without thrust. Again, just look at Las Vegas again. There was a lot of players in the top list where they just weren't playing thrust, and that's perfectly fine. You can play the game without playing thrust. There's no point in wasting $210 just to pick up 3 copies of this card. I would wait for this to drop. Maybe this drops to around the 40 range. Maybe you want to pick it up then. Like, I don't think it's going to drop that much, but if it does drop that much, then absolutely pick up this card, because this could be a card for the future. I think this card just depends on the format. I think this is format heavy right now. It's not really that great, but again, this is all my opinion. So let me know if you disagree in the comments section down below. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more content on the channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.